I'm here with Chris Kaplinski,
You got it.
who runs sound for
Lights.
Lights. Is that all you do? Just them?
Nope. I do the Arkells. I do Badin Sound Clash. I do July Talk, Reclaws, a band called Dwayne Gretzky, Rollerbird Advantage. Probably forgetting some people.
A lot of them.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
Yeah. Eclectic.
Where are you from?
Barrie, Ontario, Canada.
How many Canadians are there on this tour?
I think everyone except for Aaron, our LD, is Canadian.
All Canadians.
Yeah, yeah.
You guys just taken over.
Wow, I don't know about that. I don't know about that, but yeah, it's good. It's
Okay.
Good. It's a good run.
Originally from Canada.
Yep.
Was there a big music scene where you were?
Yeah, my city is fairly prolific, band wise, and we had great venues, and it was a good time growing up.
So what got you into, was the culture scene part of your getting into it, or?
In a roundabout way, it was like a friend of mine, Rod Horncastle, taught me how to play guitar when I was 16 after I broke my leg. So I was on a trajectory to play hockey, one of those deals, and I learned how to play, Wanted Dead or Alive on guitar, you know what I mean? And I was hooked, and that was it. And I was like 16, I didn't start till, yeah. And then you're in a band for a bunch of years, and that was it, basically.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
It's
awesome.
like all my core group of friends from, my best friend, Shane, we've known each other since grade 6. We were in bands together, and they're still hanging out. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be doing this, actually. It's true.
Really?
Yeah, it's fact. It's like, that origin story. It's like, band breaks up and all that whole thing, and then his band was playing, and I was like, I'll go mix you, because I made our records in my band, kind of thing. So, and it's the same thing. It's like you put the kick drum up, and you're like, I'm doing this for the rest of my life. Like
Yeah.
it was exactly like kind of everybody's kick drum story. You know what I mean?
First time you hear that.
It's like you put it up, and you're like, that's what I'm gonna do. And I was like 30, I think, when that happened.
Do you remember your very first time?
Yeah, that was it. That was literally it. It was at the foundation, and
Okay.
I got another shout out to Ron Gabriel, who kind of showed me the way. Everything he showed me that first day was the same stuff I do today, and yeah, it was like my friend's band, Shane. They played, and it was like soundcheck, and I put the kick drum up, and I was literally like, "This is crazy." And then the master fader.
Did you know what you're doing before you, or you just
Well, I knew how to mix because I made our records, and so like the concept of mixing I knew how to do, but like everything else I clearly had no idea. But we made a record with a fellow named James Cavalluzzo in this band called Malhavoc, this industrial band from Canada.
Okay.
Anyways, he showed me how to dub mix, basically, where you take loops and create new songs with it, and basically making new songs out of what's coming down the faders. So I kind of grasped onto it really quickly, and so I could mix. Mixing is just something I could just do.
making new songs becomes I like that.
Yeah. Well, this becomes a tool, like an instrument, more than it is just a pathway to get what the artist is trying to do. So you combine them both, basically, which is dub music. And so long and short of it was I could mix, and so all I needed to know how to do is how to get it from here to out of the speakers. That was after that it was pretty much clear sailing.
So did you guys actually tour with that, or was it just local? Like,
Well,
that was
yeah,
just
I
your
mean,
friend?
yeah, with that it was we just play locally, and I'd go, just local gigs kind of thing, and then.
Was there any formal training at all, or was it just
Well, that
trial
was the
by
thing.
fire?
I got to say, I've been really intensely fortunate. Another friend of mine, I was like, I got to do this. Where am I going to go to do it? So I moved to Peterborough on a friend's suggestion, and luckily I met a fellow named Mike Kerwin, who owned a sound company in Newmarket. So we kind of worked together through the summer, and he showed me how to set the festival up, like all the PA and all the monitors. We worked together, and then from there I moved to Newmarket with. To help Mike in his shop, and from there he showed me basically everything else, how building amp racks to hooking the PAs up and all that stuff, and did that for 3 years. And I was thinking about it the other day, I think I worked almost every single day. Like, I was completely addicted to it. I would just work and work and work. And we would do, festivals and amazing gigs. You were doing like late night parties with Nigerians, or we kind of had the bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah scene, kind of all the weddings. We were doing all these cantors were amazing. And, bands from Cambodia, like I'd go around with them as well. Like we get these things, and next thing you know, it'd be like every weekend would be like hanging out with a whole other culture. It was really awesome. And then luckily from there, I met a band called I mixed a band called Badin Soundclash, and that was 20 years ago. And we just did our 20th year anniversary.
Whoa.
And they're like a dub. Oh, they're not really. They're like a reggae, roots reggae band, I would say, folk roots reggae. But with a lot of dub influence. So it's from there, that's when I just started touring, kind of thing. So it was like kind of quick in a way. Because again, I didn't start till I was 30. So yeah, it's good. It's been good.
So if you could go, knowing what you know now, if you go back to yourself that first time you turned that kick drum up and felt that, what would you tell yourself?
Like, again, like to do whether or not.
Just if you were going to send yourself a text message from the future after that first day that you're like, I think I want to do this.
Oh, I should have did it sooner, man. I definitely should have did it sooner. Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
Sure. Also, I just want to say, like, thanks not only for doing this today, but in general, like your content I think it's doing a really good thing. I think it's not just for nerding out. It's for me at least. It's when the calendar is a little empty for a month or two. It really helps keep the rubber on the road. I think it's a really important thing. What you're doing, what's a lot of the other, like Pooch and Rabel, what they've done, the Locked Up with Digico, and those your content really helps people. I think in more ways than maybe it's intended, or maybe not. Wow. I don't know, but it's really great. And I really truly appreciate it.
Thanks, Bad.
Yeah,
that means a lot.
Yeah, it's really great.
This whole thing's been kind of a crazy ride.
Yeah, because you're saying this was like a side.
Yeah, I have a real job other than this, and it's been interesting lately because I've been getting. I don't want to make this about me by.
No, it's like it's great. I love it.
For the first time, I've gotten people who have, I don't want to say haters, but people who have been very vocal against what I've been doing, and it's been a little tough.
Yeah.
But like, I don't think people realize like I'm not making money on this. So I'm not
this is hard. Like this is hard work. Like I know even just today, it takes you got to get here. There's communication beforehand. You got to set all the stuff, the investment in your equipment, and then you got to edit it all. I mean, it takes some time, man. I can't appreciate it.
No, I appreciate that.
It's really good. And the content's amazing. Like I feel very humbled after seeing the other engineers that you interview. It's pretty amazing.
Oh man, thank you. I do say it is weird because at the end of the day, I feel like I'm doing all these and like begging for tips, like please support my Patreon or buy a T-shirt or something. But I mean, shout out to everybody else who like buys merch or supports that. That really helps make this happen. So.
Yeah, man. Everyone's got it because it's
really
cool.
That means a lot.
Yeah.
Speaking of like, is there other areas that you search to in terms of like education, staying up to date on stuff? Because I feel like sometimes we can kind of stay in our own little bubble, in our own little camps. Mm-hmm. What's your go-to in terms of like ingesting information?
Content like yours, man, for real. It's other engineers. And also, I would say in general, the audio community is way more open than when I first started. It used to be a thing where, engineers were like erasing the presets on their SPX 90.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it is not like that anymore. Like everybody is like, how do you do that? And especially with digital consoles where, I'll walk up, I'm in luxury right now to bring my own gear,
It's a lot of gear for a small room.
This is awesome. And it's awesome. And I'm truly grateful for that. But most of the time I'm just punting off M32s or whatever. And it's like, I need the other engineer to help me get there, So it's like, how do you patch this thing? And everyone is cool. And if you need a hand with something, or I don't know, I want to get time code working, and it's like, how do you do it? And someone will help you. It's a very open. So in terms of like education, you just have to, if you have an idea, someone will give you the answer, if you're nice enough,
Did you find any hangups to starting this later in life, or would you have any advice to people who are wanting to do this, but they feel like they're a little older? I know
It
30 is
was
old. It's not
no,
really
no,
older,
man. It
but
was
I
an
mean,
advantage for me, to be honest, because I wish I started with much younger because you're younger,
yeah.
you know. But uh, everything you do adds up to today. So I had how I actually got the gig was I worked for a bricklayer when I was 17, and I built scaffold. And the company that I worked for built scaffold stages, so I knew how to build the stages. I also had a construction business, so I could take 4 or 5 people and I could get something done. And that's a big job to build a 40-foot stage or 60-foot stage, you know, and I could get that done. And kind of the reward for that was I would get to mix, you know, like I would kind of run it and be in charge of it, and I would mix. So because I could do those things is what actually got me partially the way there, you know, like, and wanting to do it. So it's like, oh, I did that before. I know how to build scaffolds, so I'll just go do that. And it was mostly those kind of skills more than audio skills have helped me out.
You had a construction company?
Yeah, yeah. After my band,
What?
so it was weird. It was like band, construction, audio, hockey before that, like insane hockey.
Hockey, maple syrup.
Yeah, you know.
What was like the sound of that kick drum so influential to leave your construction
Oh
job,
no,
or
it
like
was a
what was
lot.
the
It
like
was like it
that
was
tipping point?
no. It was like it gets. It was a thing where I ended up shit. Like I ended up breaking my arm. Like I fell through a roof and I broke my arm. And anyways, I was like driving to work and I was like, I used to be an artist, man. Like I used to make music. Like what the hell am I doing right now? So, the long story, the short of the story, that's kind of, I was just like, I'm not doing this anymore. And I went back to my friend Shane opened a studio and I started kind of hanging around there. And that's when I got to mix his band. And it just kind of just rolled that way over a little bit of time. I mean, it was a bit of time between that, but it, it goes from like making art to not making art and realizing what you should be really doing. Like, because you do construction, you start making money and it's means to an end, and you just kind of roll with things as they kind of come, you know?
So when you were mixing and kind of figuring out the basics of that, uh, when do you feel like, or can you pinpoint a spot to where you actually started to get your groove and find your mix and find
Better with
your
Sound Clash
style?
for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. As soon as I accidentally mixed them at a festival, and I was like, I'm doing this band. This is what I want to do. And then I would just go to their shows locally, and I would be, I'm here to mix you, and they'd be like, all right. And then when it came time to tour, they had a song that broke, and when they started their Canadian tour, they called me to do it, and
So
I did it, and we did no word of a lie. I think the first year we might have played 300 shows. Like they played we would
all
just
the
like
shows.
we played
Yes.
all every day, and it was nuts, man. Like it was amazing too. It's amazing. There's like we just did a 20th year anniversary of the Sounding Mosaic, and it's just the most fun.
Okay, so there's a lot of people that watch this that are younger engineers. I mean, younger in their careers or do club levels that really, really want to tour. What do you say, other than obviously traveling? What is the biggest difference from doing a club or a house gig or a local festival to actually touring? I mean, you got to do it every single day without. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously there's off
I
days with
here's the
it.
thing. I'm not really
If you find much
sure.
differences at all.
Yeah, I mean, the thing of it is, I guess it depends on your tolerance. Like I don't think this is very hard, to be honest. Like roofing is hard. This is sometimes difficult. Do you know what I mean? Like it's touring to me is I feel very lucky to be able to travel around and meet people and have dinners and lunches in different spots and like meeting local crew. And you get to, I worked with a band called Go Go Bordello for a long time, and we played we played all around the world, and most days I would be the only one that spoke English, man. Like you're trying to communicate with people, and those are, again, I'm really grateful for those experiences, and I don't find touring very hard. If you want to tour, and go tour, if you want to stay at home, stay at home. I don't know, it's kind of one of those things. I'm not sure where. I guess it depends on what your tolerance is. If you need certain creature comforts or something, but again, roofing's hard work. This is not hard work to me.
Okay, there's something to be said about like being brilliant at the basics. Oh, fudge! Way to go. This is your fault.
I'm not going to take responsibility for that.
Roofing sucks. I totally forgot what we were talking about. Oh, okay. So, I had a perfect transition where I was going with this. I swear, it was beautiful. It was so good. It was going to be huge.
It'll come,
Best
dude.
ever.
It'll come
Of all the
soon.
transitions, it'd be the best ever transition.
I can feel it coming down the pipe here.
Thanks. You're doing a lot of stuff for a small room. And I say small room, I mean, it is a small room. And I think there's something to be said about being brilliant at the basics and not like getting all the shiny toys, but getting the correct stuff.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of for clubs this size, what do you? I don't even know how to answer this
Well,
question.
I can tell you. I think I know where you're going with this. What we?
You got a bunch of cool. You got a bunch of cool stuff here.
First of all, this is my stuff, and I want to use it. That's one part of it.
Got it.
So
okay.
I mean, that's part of it, but not. Basically, with lights in our scenario is, we just want to do. I want it to be the best it can possibly be. I don't care where we are, and we will do rooms like this, and we'll do. We'll play festivals or whatever. It doesn't really matter, but it's a level of consistency and comfort. So I kind of want it to be the same. And I'm also on this rig with the Arkels, so and this will flip to the Arkels. So it's kind of like, for me personally, this is my tool, and this is what I want to use. So it doesn't really, and I try to keep it, it's actually pretty compact for how much it kind of is. It's not really, but it's pretty compact. So I can get it into places, we can do small gigs or big, doesn't really matter. And I want it to be the best, and Lights wants it to be the best, at least the best I can make it. So that's where I go with it, and we say, this is what we're going to do, and we roll it out and be as prepared as possible.
What was your first piece of equipment that you got outboard outside of what came natively?
Oh, this distressor right here, I got like as soon as they came out. I have a pair of them. They're matched serial numbers. That one's in this rack now. I switched the other one to the pump. That was the first two, and then I have a bunch of studio, like whatever's here. I have like 3 times this at my studio kind of thing. The next major thing though is a 5045.
Okay.
That was the next like when I got this gig, actually I was like, I watched an interview on YouTube, and if Andy Meyer, and I'm like, he was doing Justin Timberlake or Madonna or something like that, and I'm like, well, if that's what he's using on Madonna, I need to have that for Lights. So that's what I did. I went and got that, and then just keep building out.
Is this your console?
Not my console. This is from Soundbox. They're doing all the control package except for all of the stuff around it.
Oh, so you just brought the goodies with you?
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, that's cool.
But it's all integrated. Like it's all integrated through Digico. So as long as it's this is my favorite console of all consoles. This is my favorite console. I love this thing.
So, getting outboard gear can be kind of intimidating because of all the shiny for it.
Mm-hmm.
Even with plugins, there's just so much stuff. If you had to sum it down to, especially for intro level engineers, of like, hey, if you're going to focus on anything that is not native on the console, focus on this. It doesn't have to be specific gear, but like, would your focus
probably a Lake
outboard or your master bus or your good effects, or what would be your?
I mean, for me personally, in this rack, the SPX 990, it's a multi effects thing. I love it. It's from the 90s. And I guess a Lake is the next thing, would be the next crucial thing. Other than that, the 2500 is really great for master bus. I love it. And the distressors, 5045s, I think, if you have a quiet vocalist who's in front of the PA, those are kind of the 5045 that saves your gig, I would say. That's kind of the main thing. But I've had this conversation a lot with everyone. I don't need any of this stuff, man. And the reason why I don't need it is because I know what it sounds like, and I can make anything in any console sound like this, very close. And it's because you're going for a sound. It's not the thing; it's a certain sound. So it's like, does it have the same distortion? No, but can you get a reverb or a combination of reverbs internally? I do it almost all the time. And a friend of mine just texted me the other day. He's like, I just did it too because I know what it sounds like. It's like, that's what it's really about. There's a few things like Widener's, you know, that's hard to do. This is hard to do on a desk. The better maker, that's really hard to do internally. But you know, if you have, I guess if you use waves and you have L2 or whatever is
Yeah.
going on there, you can do it. You know.
How do you differentiate your sound versus what the artist wants versus recreating the album? Or do you kind of figure that as a mixture of all of the above?
With lights, it's a conversation. She wants things a lot. She wants it like more or less like the record. And then there's just you kind of make your own parts as they come along. A delay throw or a reverb throw or an accent something or a push on the toms. You kind of make your own parts to those things. It depends on the artist, man. Like
Yeah.
I generally do the mixes, submit them to the artist, and they have feedback. Instagram, it's like Instagram comes back and I hear it and I'm like, I know exactly what's coming at me tomorrow, you know, like, you know.
That's a big thing too. I was talking with Kyle's video with Creed. He was mentioning how one of the fans in the audience had more followers than the entire band themselves.
Oh yeah.
And arguably, she had more reach than the entire band.
Yeah.
So he was like, that is just as important for her on her phone as it is for the rest of it. Do you think about that as you're mixing?
I live on it.
Because I know some people like, it is what it is, I'm focusing in the room.
Dude, I've improved my mixing probably 100% because of Instagram. No joke.
So you just go to listen to Instagram.
I listen to my mix from the room, from all over the room with other people's phone. You can tell what your balance is generally. It might not be tonally exactly, you know, but like you can hear your balances almost exact, especially nowadays. And I find it really useful. And other thing, man, so I think it was the first or second show that I did with Lights 7 or 8 years ago. You know, it's all blowing out. You know, cell phones weren't that great, but it was all blowing out. I'm like, I can't. She's gonna think this sucks. So, dude, all I did was turn the subs down, and as soon as I turned the subs down, the tilt, my mix was a little flatter, and all the cell phone stuff started turning out amazing. They weren't all blowing out. My mix was quieter. It's brighter. It's bigger. And then all of her comments were positive.
Because I mean, you hit a key point. Because what is the artist going to do? They're going to go back and they're going to go on their phone and see what's tagged on there. And I think one of some of the two biggest things is artist friends, family, and also the phone. Don't get me wrong, the room sounds good, but like I think people kind of need to pay attention to that maybe a little bit as well.
A lot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's there forever. So
Yeah.
I live on it, and I think it's.
Well, there's a happy medium too, because you don't want to be focused so much on that the room sounds like.
No. But your mix is, for me, like I think Badin said, like the mix is the mix. So my mix is the 2-track that goes to everywhere. Like it goes to, you can have the lines or broadcast or whoever can have my mix, and it's exactly what comes out of the PA. Actually, sorry, that's not true. I actually set it up so that I have my main master bus goes everywhere, and then my handle to the PA, I can do EQing on the PA if I want that. I can manipulate the room separately.
How'd you get connected with her?
Through my friend Karen Weigold, Keeks. She asked me to do a show, and then she ended up doing another gig, and I just kind of took over for her.
Okay.
That's kind of how it worked.
And you've been with her for how long?
7 years, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it's awesome.
How many members in this?
3. So her, guitar, bass, and drums. Like guitar player and bass player, it's the same person.
Okay, tracks?
Tracks, yeah.
Are you mixing tracks, or are they coming to you pre-mixed?
We have 12 channels of tracks. Well, eight channels plus a stereo pair of keyboards that gets played.
Okay.
And then time code and click.
Are you mixing some of the tracks as well?
Yeah, all the tracks.
Okay.
Like, I mean, I mix. Well, the first thing we do is in pre-production, we're meticulous about the tracks. So we set everything to 0, no compression, no EQ, and we balanced all the tracks first, and we balance them to her in-ears so that they're not, anybody can do monitors, and as long as the tracks are at 0, we're good.
Oh, smart.
So she knows exactly what they sound like, how she wants to hear them, and we just leave them like that. There's no messing around with them. And then for me personally, if there's a vocal push or like a melody, like a top line that I need, I'll request that we get it turned up, or I can just turn it up here. I can EQ them a little bit differently because we're at volume, so some things are a bit bright sometimes. So you can shelve stuff down if you need to.
Okay, so are you doing those changes via snapshots here, or are you writing?
Snapshots for those. I still ride stuff up and down depending on the room.
Okay, so have you continually built on the same file, or do you scratch and write from
I
zero every
started this
time?
year. I started from scratch. I
Okay.
started completely because I got this new Ferrofish IO, and when I got it, it just sounded so much better. So I completely zeroed all my files. I completely started from scratch, and I just started with a balance. I got the balance, no filters, nothing, like just straight balance, and got because that's what happens. You build on a file forever,
Correct.
and then you don't really know what you're mixing anymore. Like the sound gets so convoluted by the time like you've changed it, and it's I don't know. For me personally, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing anymore, man. This just sounds crazy.
Well,
So I just zeroed it all out, got the balance, and then I started inserting things
yeah.
or rerouting. I changed a lot of my routing has all changed for this. It's really good.
Well, sometimes for me, like there's the adding just to add, and then sometimes I got like, let's start like uninserting things and
Yeah.
kind of see. Let's
Oh,
step
there's
back.
EQ, and like you're EQing it, then it's going to a group, and that's getting EQ'd, and it's going to another group, and it's getting EQ'd and compressed and like just mutilated, and then you get to the end, and it's getting compressed and EQ'd. It's like, what is this?
Yeah.
You're down like 30 dB of gain by the time you get to the end. If sometime, you know what I mean? You know what I'm exaggerating clearly, but it's like,
Yeah,
but you know what
yeah.
I mean? It's like things are just like out of whack. So, anyways, things are a lot like my kick EQ is just like there's nothing on the channels. Like snare is pretty reasonable. Like it's not a lot going on. Well, there is. I say that, but there's some stuff.
Favorite song to mix in this tour?
Oh my God, all of the new stuff. I don't know if I ever. It's been changing a lot. It's unanimous. We all love this set, beginning to end. It goes by so fast. Every single song is, but the new songs are so strong, and they're kind of they're in my wheelhouse too. They're very like, kind of, shoegaze, goth, minimal wavy kind of vibe.
Was there any song that was hard for you to kind of find your groove in? That took you a minute, but now that you got it, you're like,
I don't know, man. That's a good question. I don't know.
okay.
I feel like I'm constantly working on them all, anyways. I don't need. I'll tell you one thing that I try to do that I constantly work on is the cadence. Not so much as a song, but the cadence to the set, so that it has a build. And I try to do that with sub and the master fader. So like I use the sub a lot for the dynamic. Like I don't like the idea of pummeling people from the beginning of the show to the end. I have there's a section that's going to be, this is going to be a lot of sub, and then bring it back down. It's like basically build that the cadence to the night, and trying to like tweeze that in and get that right. That's kind of where I'm at. More of the big picture than it is like the single song, because you got to first of all you got to choose the song. It's got to be the appropriate song. It's got to be the right place in the set, and then you let it rip.
Speaking of choosing songs, especially for rooms this size, are you walking into this, because I'm sure you don't have an SE here? Mm-hmm. What's the first thing you're looking at? Obviously the PA and the size, but are you coming in with a predetermined curve with it? Are you coming in just listening to music through it?
No, I don't.
Sound check.
First thing like this, I know is already gonna be timeline. I know it's an L acoustic rig. I know these guys are awesome. So generally, first thing I do is make sure all the components work. Then I'll check for time, depending on how much time I have, but I'll check for time. And then I try to get things flattish. Like this, the 3 dB per octave is my mix generally, but I try to kind of have a fairly flat response.
Yeah.
A little bump on the end, on the bottom end. So I just kind of flatten it out, kind of get some of that stuff out. I don't get too crazy though if I don't have to, because it's going to change. And also the other weird thing is some PAs, like, those like the EV X-ray box. It's like you're in the House of Blues or something like that, and you put pink up, and it's just like this. It's endorsed by Husqvarna or something. It's like the craziest like curve you've ever seen. And if you flatten it out, you're gonna have the worst day of your life. But if you leave it alone, it's like, wow, this is crazy. So you got to kind of listen to what's going on. Anyway, after that, I just I'll pick a song, whatever I feel like listening to, virtual sound check. I don't listen to any other music. I don't care what that sounds like, to be honest. If I'm touring without this, then yeah, I'll just throw on. I literally use any song that I feel like listening to. I don't have like a bunch of songs. I have like a 70 song list that if I'm in a rush or something. But if I have something on my phone that I just was listening to 10 minutes ago, I just put that up. And
So I on my website I have these groups that people can join and ask and get. There's one of them called Ask a Pro. So anybody who's been on these videos can get like a verification. You got verified legit pros on there, so they can ask questions to it. And part of it was I wanted to get rid of the keyboard warriors out there that are saying all the comments, but you see them as like a third hand at a show that is pulling through the cables. Like, come on, you were the what the? But one of the questions that was put on there that was fantastic, and I'd love to ask you this: is what would your advice be to other PMs at this size venue that you wish they did more often walking into, or things that you see are missed opportunities?
Like from the venue's perspective, or
from your perspective, walking into a venue, what would your advice to the venues?
You know, man, I try not to have. I keep my expectations low, and I try to make it so simple that we can do all the work ourselves, mostly. So as long as they have reliable hands, you know, that's mostly the thing. Power, I would say, is at this size for us. You know, we got advanced power a lot. That's kind of, if everyone could just have tie in at least stove plug or something like that. You know what I mean? That would be really helpful. That's really only, I try to keep the stress level with that stuff pretty low. And advancing is just like, do you have power? Do you have enough hands? And how long is a push? You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, in terms of like, I kind of like it when it's kind of shit. You know, I don't like
so guys, don't make it too good.
No, like I kind of like, I like it when it's a little more punk rock. To be honest, like don't get me wrong, man. I like when there's lots of room and you're just catering and I love it. Don't get me, like, it's an easy way of going about your day. But I also like when you have to come in, you have to figure it out. Like, how are we going to get this in here today? Like, we got a lot of stuff that needs to get up there. Like, what are we going to do? And that's kind of the most fun for me in the day generally. So I think if you keep your expectations low and you just want to, you have a good imagination, I don't know if I'd ask anyone else for anything else. If you have good vibes, you know, if you have good vibes, and people want to have a good show, man. You know?
What do you feel like was the biggest failure you've done, and what did you learn from that failure? Or have you ever made a failure?
Oh my God, dude. Oh my God, this button right here, I didn't disable it for whatever reason, and we were playing at a festival, and I don't know what the hell I was doing. Anyways, but it happened like on a drop. So it was like as a drop, and I muted it for whatever reason. It was like, huh, and like this pause. But when it came back, anyways, it was a happy accident in the end.
Drop for you.
But I was like, and I'd used the console for years without messing with it. And I'd known that you could mute it. But anyways, dude, I muted it. Like, I don't know, there's 15,000 people or something in the like, oh my God, dude. It's like,
oh man.
There's a million of those though, man. I don't know, man. I'm happy to make a mistake once in a while. Keeps me honest, you know.
Looking back through your career, is there any moments that you look back going like, that was so cool?
Oh, tons of those. I mixed a show in the Dead Sea once, and the Valley of Death once. A bunch of those really cool, like you're in these weird spots that are just like epic. It was wild. I remember having a nap. We did this festival in the Dead Sea. And I was in the trailer and not feeling so well. Anyways, I came out, just had changeover, and it was like this. I'll show you a picture later. It was like,
just give me a picture so we can put it on.
Dude, it's crazy. It was like it was in this cavern. They had uplit this whole cavern. It was just fucking miles of people, man. And it was white leather couches, like all of a sudden out of nowhere. I don't know what was, dude. It was like surreal. So I felt like I was in a dream, dude. It was awesome. But there's tons of those amazing. Find yourself in these crazy spots, like lots of and cool punk rock bars too, man. Like, I don't know, man. Every day is kind of cool, man. To be honest, yeah.
Well, what I want to do now is that for my Patreon members, I want to kind of, if we have time, dive into like your routing and what you do and what your equipment is. So if you're a Patreon member, this is for you guys. But before we go, if people want to follow you and follow your career, where can they follow you at?
Just Chris Kaplinski at Instagram, on Instagram.
Cool. All right, let me grab one of these cameras.
Sure.
And
let's do it.